The starship Hollowclaw descended through the purple clouds of Nexer 7 like a metal bird hunting for prey. Inside its cargo hold, 12 goblins counted their fortune in advance. They had done the impossible. They had stolen Princess Elena Vance from the human colony ship Aurora's Dawn while it refueled at the trading station. Captain Grimtooth scratched his long green ear and smiled with his yellow teeth. The princess sat in the corner of the cargo hold, her hands bound with energy cuffs. She did not cry. She did not beg. She simply watched them with cold blue eyes that made even Grimtooth uncomfortable. The goblin species had raided countless worlds across the galaxy. They took what they wanted and sold what they did not need. Humans were new to space travel. They had only discovered faster than light technology 50 years ago. The goblins had been trading and stealing for thousands of years. This would be easy money. Grimtooth walked over to the princess and crouched down to meet her eyes. She was young, maybe 20 human years old. Her brown hair was messy from the struggle, but she held herself like a queen, even in chains. "Your father is King Marcus Vance," Grimtooth said. "He rules the human expansion fleet, 300 ships. 2 million humans looking for new homes among the stars. He will pay anything to get you back." Princess Elena said nothing. She just stared at him. "We are not cruel," Grimtooth continued. "We do not hurt our merchandise. You will be comfortable. You will have food and water. And when your father pays us 500,000 galactic credits in pure gold, we will return you safely." "You should not have done this," Elena finally spoke. Her voice was calm and steady. Grimtooth laughed. His crew laughed with him. "Is that a threat, little human? Your species is weak. You have no military fleet. Your weapons are primitive. What will your father do? Send a strongly worded message?" Elena smiled. It was a small smile, but it was not the smile of a frightened prisoner. Humans do not negotiate with kidnappers, but they always pay their debts. Grimtooth did not understand her words, but they made his stomach feel strange. He ignored the feeling and returned to the cockpit. The ransom message had already been sent. Now they would wait. 3 days passed on the goblin ship. Elena ate the food they gave her without complaint. She slept on the thin mat in her cell without tears. She asked no questions and made no demands. The goblin crew started to avoid looking at her. Something about her silence felt wrong. On the 4th day, a response came from the human fleet. King Marcus Vance appeared on the communication screen. He was a tall man with gray hair and the same blue eyes as his daughter. His face showed no emotion. "You have my daughter," the king said. "We do," Grimtooth replied proudly. 500,000 credits in gold. Deliver it to the coordinates we sent. Once we verify the payment, we release the princess. You will have your gold, King Marcus said. But I want to speak to my daughter first. I need to know she is alive and unharmed. Grimtooth brought Elena to the cockpit. She stood before the screen and looked at her father. For a long moment, neither of them spoke. "Elena," the king finally said, "are you hurt?" "No, father. They have treated me fairly." "Good. We will pay their price." "You will be home soon." Elena nodded. "I know. Do what you must." The communication ended. Grimtooth felt pleased. The humans were cooperating. They were weak and foolish, just as the story said. Easy prey. The gold arrived 2 days later at a neutral asteroid station. Grimtooth sent 3 of his crew to verify the payment. They reported back with excitement. The gold was real. 500,000 credits worth, just as demanded. The humans had paid without argument. Grimtooth kept his word. He released Princess Elena at the same station. She walked away without looking back. The goblins loaded the gold onto their ship and celebrated their victory. They drank alien ale and sang songs about their cleverness. "The easiest job we have ever done," Grimtooth announced to his crew. "Humans are soft. They pay to avoid conflict. We should do this again." His crew cheered. They divided the gold among themselves and set course for the pleasure worlds of the Outer Rim. They would spend their fortune on good food, strong drinks, and comfortable beds. They did not notice the small tracking device hidden inside one of the gold bars. They did not see the dark shape following them through space at a careful distance. They were too busy celebrating to pay attention to their sensors. Grimtooth was sleeping in his quarters when the attack began. The ship shook violently, and alarms screamed throughout the corridors. He ran to the cockpit, still wearing his sleeping clothes. "What is happening?" he shouted. His pilot pointed at the screen with a trembling finger. A human warship hung in space before them. It was 3 times the size of the Hollow Claw. Its weapons were already charging for another shot. "They disabled our engines," the pilot said. "We cannot run." Grimtooth's mouth went dry. "This is impossible. Humans do not have warships. They are explorers, colonists. They do not fight." A communication request came through. Grimtooth accepted it with shaking hands. King Marcus Vance appeared on the screen again. But this time, he was not alone. Princess Elena stood beside him, now wearing a military uniform with officer markings on her shoulders. "Captain Grimtooth," the king said, "you accepted our gold. Now you will pay the price." "We returned your daughter," Grimtooth protested. "We kept our bargain." "You have no right to attack us." "You misunderstand." Elena spoke now. Her voice was no longer the quiet voice of a prisoner. It was the voice of a commander. "We paid the ransom because that was the agreement. But you made a mistake. You assumed that paying meant we accepted what you did. You assumed we would forgive and forget. Humans do not forgive," King Marcus continued. "We do not forget. Every species that has wronged us has learned this lesson. You are simply the latest." Grimtooth looked at his crew. Their faces were pale with fear. "What do you want?" "We will give back the gold." "All of it." "Keep the gold," Elena said. "We do not want it back. We wanted you to take it. We wanted you to think you had won. We wanted you to lead us to your home world." Grimtooth's blood turned cold. "Our home world? Why?" King Marcus smiled. It was not a kind smile. "You said humans are weak. You said we have no military fleet. You were wrong. We simply kept our fleet hidden. We did not want other species to see us as a threat. But you forced our hand. You showed the galaxy that humans can be robbed without consequence. We cannot allow that. We are not going to destroy your world," Elena added. "We are going to occupy it. Your people will work for us now. They will mine the metals we need for our expansion. They will build the ships we need for our colonies. And every goblin child will learn the story of how your greed enslaved your entire species." Grimtooth fell to his knees. "Please, it was just business." "We did not mean any disrespect. You kidnapped a princess of the human empire," King Marcus said. "You held her for ransom like common cargo. You laughed at our weakness. Now you will spend the rest of your life knowing that your actions doomed your people." The screen went dark. Goblin boarding ships surrounded the Hollow Claw within minutes. Human soldiers in heavy armor broke through the airlock and captured the crew without firing a shot. The goblins did not resist. They had seen the size of the human fleet on their sensors. Hundreds of warships, all of them hidden until this moment. Grimtooth was taken to a holding cell on the human ship. Through the small window, he watched as more human vessels arrived. Troop carriers, mining equipment, colony ships. This was not a rescue mission. This was an invasion force that had been waiting for an excuse. A guard brought him food and water. Grimtooth did not touch them. "You planned this," he said to the guard. "The princess let herself be captured." The guard shrugged. "She volunteered for the mission. We needed a reason to reveal our military strength. Your people gave us that reason. The galaxy thinks humans are peaceful explorers. They needed to see what happens when someone threatens our family." "But the gold," Grimtooth whispered. "You actually paid it." "Of course we paid it. Humans always keep their word." "We said we would pay the ransom. So we paid it. We said we would come for you after, and here we are. You thought the gold was the end of the story. For humans, it was just the beginning. The guard left. Grimtooth sat alone in his cell as the human fleet traveled toward his home world. He thought about his crew, his friends, his family. He thought about all the times his people had raided and stolen and laughed at weaker species. He thought about Elena's small smile when she warned him not to do this. The goblin home world surrendered without battle when they saw the human fleet. There was no point in fighting. The humans had planned this for years. They had hidden their true power behind a mask of peace. They had waited for someone to give them an excuse to expand through force. Grimtooth spent the rest of his life working in the mineral mines of his own planet, now a human territory. He told his story to anyone who would listen. He warned every species he met about the humans. They pay their debts, he said. They keep their promises. And they never forget a wrong done against them. But by then, it was too late. The human expansion had begun. Colony ships spread across the galaxy, and behind each one traveled a hidden warship ready to defend it. Other species watched and learned. They traded fairly with humans. They welcomed them as neighbors. They did everything possible to avoid becoming the next example. Princess Elena rose through the military ranks to become Fleet Admiral. She led the human expansion for 40 years, bringing hundreds of worlds under human protection. Some planets joined willingly. Others, like the Goblins, learned the hard way that humans were not the weak newcomers they appeared to be. The galaxy changed after the Goblin incident. Humans were no longer seen as easy targets. They were respected. They were feared. They were understood. And in every trading post and space station, in every alien academy and diplomatic hall, the story was told. The Goblins stole a human princess. They demanded gold as ransom. The humans paid the gold. And then the humans took everything. It was a lesson the galaxy would never forget. Humanity had arrived among the stars, and they played a longer game than anyone had ever seen.